Okay, sixth graders, today we are talking about analogies and what they are and how they are going to be a part of the Wordmaster Challenge. So an analogy is taking two words and talking about how they relate to one another and how that pair of words relates to another pair of words. In order to complete analogies, you really have to have a solid understanding of what the words in the analogy mean. So I'm going to show you some analogies today just so you get the idea, using words that are already in your vocabulary. The challenge is going to be getting to know our Wordmaster words well enough that you will be able to use those words in analogies as part of the challenge, which for you guys will likely be posted the week of Thanksgiving. So you need to be ready for this challenge by then. Make sure you're learning those words using Quizlet and the sheets that you already filled out and whatever other resources we have to learn the words well. So let's get going. All right, I'll make myself a little smaller so we can see everything. So here we go. An analogy is a comparison of words. So here's a simple example. Tall is to short as fat is to, and what would you put right here? You may have already decided in your head that you would put skinny. You would be correct with the word skinny there. Though you know the answer, you might not totally know how you got there. Or maybe some of you are at home thinking, how did you know what to put in there? Our brains work differently, and analogies are really easy for some of us and really challenging for some of us, and that's okay. On this slide, I want you to see that in this first pair of words up here where it says is to, sometimes people will write analogies shorthand by just putting a colon. Here, where it says as, sometimes people will put a double colon. So even though in this second example there's just a bunch of punctuation, you would still read it as tall is to short, as fat is to, and you would say skinny. Let's keep going. This pair worked because they are opposites. So remember when I said that you have to figure out the relationship between the words? In this case, the relationship is opposites. So tall and short are our first pair of words, and they are opposites. So once you figure out the relationship between the first two words, it says think of a word that can fill in the blank that would result in the same relationship for the second two words. So if you can decide that the first two words are opposite, then the second two words also have to be opposite. Okay? Then it says, check your answer by creating a sentence explaining the relationship. This is called a bridge sentence. So in this case, you could say, tall is the opposite of short, fat is the opposite of, and you would then fill in skinny. Here we go. Aside from opposites, though, what kind of word relationships could there be? Now, I know a lot of us opposites are really easy, so I want to talk about some other relationships that could come up. For example, function. When we talk about function, what I mean is the function of a person, a place, or a thing, or what that item is meant to do. So for an example here, we have book is to read as television is to what? So this is the function. The function of a book, what's it for? It's to read. The function of a television then is to watch. And you can see the bridge sentence here would be a book is used to read, a television is used to watch. You could also say a function of a book is to read or a function of the television is to watch. Either way, as long as the same bridge sentence you're using for the first set of words is the same as the second set of words. Here's another sort of relationship, a characteristic. So in this case, when I say characteristic, I mean a generally accepted attribute of something. So for example, a characteristic, a tree is tall. We can generally accept that trees are tall, okay? A tree is to tall as a shrub is to, what should go there? Short would be a good example. So a bridge sentence here would be a characteristic of a tree is to be tall. A characteristic of a shrub is to be short. Part to a whole. So this would be a part of something larger or something larger that's broken down into parts. For this example, we have a branch is to a tree as a wing is to a what? You should have bird. So your bridge sentence could be, a branch grows from a tree, a wing grows from a bird, or a branch is part of a tree, a wing is a part of a bird. Just remember, the bridge sentence for the first pair has to be the same as the second pair. You're only changing those specific words. Another relationship is type or kind of something, meaning a type of something from a broader category. So an example here would be Chex is to cereal as Sprite is to. So Chex is a type of cereal, Sprite is a type of pop or soda. Your bridge sentence would be Chex is a kind of cereal, Sprite is a kind of pop or soda. Both would work. The next type we have is definition. So this is a word, and by definition, it has to be what? An example here is grandpa is to man, grandma is to, what should you have? Woman. So by definition, a grandpa is a man, and by definition, a grandma is a woman. So we're just defining those words. The next type of relationship is lacking. If you lack something, it means you do not have it. So it's is without. Our example here, cruel is to compassion, as stupid is to what? So when we're talking about the word lacking, we could say cruel is without compassion, or cruel is lacking compassion. So then stupid is without what? What do you not have if you're considered stupid? Intelligence. So our bridge sentence here would be something that is cruel lacks compassion, something that is stupid lacks intelligence. Another relationship we have is degree of. So a degree of means two words relate to one another in a lesser or more intense way. Let me explain. So cool is to freezing, as warm is to what? So cool is kind of a less intense version of freezing. Okay. Warm then would be like a less intense version of boiling. So your bridge sentence here could be something more than cool is freezing, or something that is more warm is boiling. It's kind of a little weird, but you see how it's like a degree of something. Like it might be a little bit warm, but if it's much more than that, would be boiling. Sometimes you just have to figure it out. There might be other relationships that you just have to figure out on your own, but I have faith you'll be able to. So here's an example. Gorilla is to banana, as Cookie Monster is to what? So you have to think about these first two words. What do a gorilla and a banana have to do with each other? And then you have to think over here. What does a Cookie Monster have the same relationship to? So you might have said a gorilla eats bananas, and you would have Cookie Monster eats cookies. Here's our bridge sentence. Gorillas eat bananas, Cookie Monster eats cookies. Notice that the bridge sentences are exactly the same. We're just switching out those vocab words. Okay, now that you have an idea of what I mean when I talk about word relationships and how you have to figure out the relationship of the first two words, and then the same relationship has to be there for the second two words, here's a hint that might help you when you are trying to solve analogies. If you get to one that is really tricky, this is a hint that might be able to help you depending on how good you are at knowing your parts of speech. So analogies have to follow the same pattern of word meanings as well as a pattern in the parts of speech. So here's an example. Cow is to calf as deer is to fawn. A cow is a noun. It's a person, place, or thing. A calf is also a noun. Okay, in both cases, it's a thing. So if the first two words are both nouns, then the second two words have to be both nouns. So deer and fawn, those are both nouns. So you could write it like this with the N meaning noun. So all of these words are nouns. Now, let's look here. A giant is too tall, as a midget is too short. In this case, giant is a noun, it's a thing, like a person, I guess. Tall, then, is an adjective. So if giant and tall are a noun and an adjective, then on the other side, we also have to have a noun and an adjective. So you see midget and short. All right. So if you know the part of speech, you at least have a better guess. So if we look here, if the first two words are an adjective and another adjective, then the second two words have to be an adjective and another adjective. Or if the first two words are a verb and then a noun, then the second two words have to be a verb and then a noun. So if you know your parts of speech, sometimes that can help you to figure out a tricky analogy. From here, I am going to have you guys practice some analogies. I'm going to have you look for another post that will be a Google form, and from there you can show me how well you understand analogies, and we will talk about it later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.